Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Kalaye Sundarakaram Sadaika Priyadarshanam. Ajnana Nashakam Devam Sadgurum Muralidharam. Yasya Smarana Matrena Jikhvayam Vardate Swayam. Mahamantrastam Bhajami Muralidhara Deshikam. प्रेमामृतं यो मुरलीनिनादैः श्रीकृष्णरूपेण पुराववर्ष अद्यापि सोऽयं मुरलीधराख्यो पुष्णाति प्रेम्णा भुवनं सहर्षं संकीर्तिते महामन्त्रे तत्राविर्भूय तत्क्षणं सुप्रसन्नो भवेद्यस्तं प्रेमिकवरदं भजे मुरलीमण्डितकरकमलं मुनिजनमोहनं व्यत्यस्तपादं वनमालाधारिणं प्रेमभक्तमण्डलनित्यकीर्तितं प्रेमिकवरदम् आश्रयेऽहम् नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमनः तं नमामि हरिं परं हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे. सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. Humble prostrations at the holy feet of Bhagwan and Guru Maharaj, by whose boundless grace I've been blessed with this wonderful opportunity. A very big thank you to every one of you for taking the time and effort to be a part of this series. It's certainly a great delight, as always, to join you all in this Answers and Beyond Satsang. The question that I will take up for discussion today is this. It's a question that has been sent by a friend from Satsang. While most ancient faiths and religions across the world have a particular text that they call as their spiritual text, the holy text. How come we have so many as far as Sanatana Dharma goes? On one hand, we have the Vedas. There are the Mahapuranas, the Itihasas, Upanishads. There's so many of them. If we were to call one as our spiritual text or the holy text of Sanatana Dharma, what would it be? Sri Swamiji has addressed this question once, and so have countless Mahatmas. The fact is that even as far as Sanatana Dharma goes, if we have to call a text as the holy text of Sanatana Dharma, it is the Vedas. That's it. So it's not as if we have multiple spiritual or sacred texts, like how we know of the Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata. We've heard of the Mahapuranas, such as Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we know of the Upanishads, we know of the Brahma Sutras. And of course, all of us from childhood have heard of the Bhagavad Gita, which forms a part of Mahabharata. And then we know of the Vedas, and very casual learning makes us understand that there are 4 of them, Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharvana. But the fact is that they are not many texts, and there in fact is just one, and that is the Vedas. Even the 4 are 4 different branches of the Vedas. I will give you an example that is quoted by Guru Maharaj that will help understand this better. Let's say we take this problem that is prevalent all across the world, in many different parts, across many continents, called as hunger. Who does not understand hunger? All of us do, isn't it? After all, our entire life is about satisfying that instinct. We run around, do the different things that we do, make money. Bottom line is to be able to satisfy hunger. Every life form does every single pursuit in order to satisfy hunger, to survive, to live on. So it's not something that's very complex to understand. We all know about it. It's not some sort of a discovery when somebody says that hunger is a great problem. It's something that is the most cruel situation to be in. It's not something that we need to be educated upon. We all understand. It's direct experience. If I'm deprived of a meal, I know how it feels. It's not something that is hard to understand in that sense. I've always heard about it. Even as a child, when I have my meal, if my mother sees that I'm about to waste some food, she would say that there are people in other parts of the world that would find so hard to even find a single grain, that are suffering in hunger. Look what you're doing. Look how blessed you are. You should not waste your food. Think about it. And we read about this. We hear about it. We've seen it in the news when we see how people are suffering from hunger. To be able to just get that one meal on their plate is so difficult for some people. But what does it do to me as a person? If I reflect, yes, I understand. It does have a certain impact on me. But it really does not penetrate me deep enough because I've never really been in that situation. I understand it. My head understands it. But the heart does not really feel it. I read about it, volumes of it, but it really does not make a huge difference. I think, oh, okay, unfortunate that there are people that are stuck in such situations. That's my maximum reaction towards. That's the impact that has truly gone within. One day, my friend takes me to this movie, a film that's been screened, an award-winning documentary. And for nearly 2 hours, that documentary, that critically acclaimed short film, shows how people, let's say, in some part of the African continent, are struggling with hunger. It's so hard for them to find a piece of food. So much so that they're willing to eat anything and everything that's available. So much so that people are okay to even consume dead animals. You see that and it chokes your heart. It melts you from within. The documentary, the film has been produced so beautifully that it really reaches the message across. For a moment, when I think of my situation, I feel absolutely blessed. that grain that falls on my plate seems like the most valuable thing ever. It feels like the greatest blessing of God. All of this is happening when I see that emotional portrayal on screen. It has completely melted me. And then, when I step out of the theater, in that same emotion, a poor old man walks right across to me. It sticks out both his hands. He's very frail and he says, I haven't eaten in 2 days. Will you give me something? Will you help me? Do you know what happens to me at that moment? Because normally, when something like this happens on another day, when I'm, say, busy or doing something else, I would not even pay attention. I may not even turn back. I may even lecture. I may say that this is not the way. Maybe you should find some work. All sorts of teachings and all these things I would do. But that day, I'm in a very different frame of mind. Immediately, I reach out to my wallet. I reach out to the money that I have. I don't even count properly. I grab whatever comes in my hand and I give it to that man. Please go buy some food. Please go eat it. If you have a family, please buy them something. That man is overjoyed. And I feel a great sense of satisfaction, as if I've done something, which I have. If I for a moment take the heart out of the picture and bring the head back in, which is usually what I would do, will this solve the problem of world hunger? No, it won't. Will it mean that this man will permanently be helped out of this situation because I gave him a lot of money today? No, it won't. Will this mean that nobody else will suffer from this problem at all ever just because I did this? No. But then, I was not thinking of all of that when I did it. It happened very spontaneously from the heart. It just happened. From being just a thought, it became an action. Thought to action. And why did that happen? Because what was knowledge before, which I've always known, became an emotional moment for me thanks to that portrayal in that documentary. The manner in which that fact was portrayed is really what resulted in this, isn't it? It's the same scenario, friends. The only spiritual text, the only sacred text, the very breath of Bhagwan, as it's called, are the Vedas. And that have been classified into these 4 branches. Every text that has come henceforth, Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Puranas, the Itihasas, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, everything are nothing but the Vedic truths portrayed in different forms. I will take one example. Worship your father as God. Worship your mother as God. The most important thing to do is to keep up one's word, to live by truth. These are Vedic commands. They are always there. If you have read it, we know it already. But did it inspire every single person to live a life in accordance? Not really. The ones with a lot of virtue did so, but ones like me, it was just knowledge. I knew it, it lay there. But when God incarnates as Sri Rama, when he leads a life that portrays those tall truths, when he regards his father and mother as God, my father has said so, so I follow it. There's no questioning it. I will stand on the path of Dharma no matter what. That is most important. When this is what he does, and the hardships that the Lord himself undergoes just to stick to Dharma, nothing else, when I read that, when I hear about it as Ramayana, at the end of it, I think for a moment, can I not emulate this at least 0.1%, 0.01%, or a millionth? And I try to take that one step in my life. To speak the truth, to stick to Dharma, to consider my parents as God. I've always known this, but it became action because I went through Ramayana. So the point I'm trying to make here is the Vedic truth that has been portrayed as Ramayana, just as how the movie portrayed the problem of hunger. That is why I say that Sri Swamiji would always tell us that it is just one spiritual text, the Vedas. In fact, all the Itihasas and Puranas are nothing but the very same Vedic truths portrayed in different manners in order to reach us out of compassion for every one of us. And in fact, they always make sure they show that connect. They would always say, Iti Panchamo Vedaha Veda Upabrahmanarthaya. Srimad Bhagavatam right at the beginning would say, Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Shukamukat Amrita Drava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. Nigama Kalpataru. In the tree, in the Kalpataru, the tree bounty called as Vedas, a fruit has been born, and the name of that fruit is Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is the tree, the very same tree, and the tree is Vedas. It's merely the Vedic truths that have been portrayed here as well. So, in short, Sanatana Dharma also has only one sacred text, and it is the Vedas. And the many texts are not meant to confuse us. On the other hand, we should feel very fortunate and proud that we have so many, the Vedic truths that have been represented and portrayed in different forms out of compassion of Bhagwan, out of compassion of the great rishis, in order to reach them to us and to help us to go from thought to action, to give us that inspiration. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience.